Good morning, good afternoon. Bonjour, habari, hamujambo. Saying hello to you from wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to another edition of the 360-degree brand story, where brands come alive one brushstroke at a time. I am and I remain Joe Mukoko, your host for this show that is proudly sponsored by Akiko Stories, part of the Afrikan MSME Collective. We love watching you grow and you turning your stories into purposeful engagements that fuel you ahead. Most of us have a very linear view of storytelling, and it has been restricted to I am selling, I am marketing, I am buying, or once upon a time in the ancient villages of Kakamega and the forests deep in the Meru land. That is how we look at storytelling. But it plays a very important aspect in our lives every day. We are coming towards the end of another season and looking forward to the beginning of another season. If I were to ask you, how has your year been? How would you describe it for me? I'm joined by the amazing storytelling coach. She started speaking at 9 months, running at 9 months, and she's never stopped. But she knows where it is she's going. So she has not stopped. She knows where it is she's going. So Kyesubire, before we start the show, the amazing Kyesubire Talitwala Greek, before we start the show, maybe you can take a minute and just tell us how you are. Today, I'm not throwing you under the bus. And on a lighter note, as you come on board, you know, when you first told me the story of how you worked at 9 months, I remembered the story of the roadrunner. You remember the coyote chasing the chicken, how they are just running all the time. And you know, they run very fast. And that's how kids run. And it was like, then now your running muscles have been enhanced. Anyway, Kyesubire, welcome to the show. How have you been?
Yani roadrunner. Really, anyway.
Yeah, the coyote and roadrunner. You know how they run very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, I know how they run. I've been very good. As always, we're building products, we're teaching, we're facilitating. I think 2024 has been one of those years, very focused, but also very externally seeming unfocused, but internally very focused. So very reflective. Yeah, it's been a good year, and also a good. The quarter has started very well. You're muted, my brother.
You're speaking in a very hushed tone today. I think the reflection has been heavy and the introspection has been very
It,
heavy.
it has. The last couple of weeks, I've been in spaces where I have had the opportunity to see the things I teach live. I'll explain that. So, of course, you know that storytelling is just one part of what we do, right? The real heart of what we do is building businesses. And there's a set, the curriculum we've designed, the way we structure our trainings, there's a set pattern that we like to follow from vision all the way to execution. And I had the singular privilege. I spent 5 days with a friend in a different town. So first of all, the joy was being in a different town, right? With no responsibilities, but then able to see that everything we teach is not only applicable, but if followed diligently over a period of time, then success is guaranteed. Seeing that live as well as seeing the outcome and the stability, accountability brings, community, faith, all tied together. It was like watching everything I've dreamt of building, working together and knowing I'm on the right track. So it's been that kind of 2 weeks.
Thank you, Kyesubire. If everything we have taught is followed to the letter or closer to the letter, then success is guaranteed. Meaning we need to build a cadence in our daily operations. Okay. Brings me to the topic that we are discussing today. If everything is followed well, then success is guaranteed. Our theme for the month has been reflection and thinking beyond what or where we reached this year and where we can go next year, but reflection. And we've been trying to connect storytelling and reflection. And if everything we have taught is followed to the letter, success is guaranteed. Is there a connection between storytelling and reflection?
There is. There's a very big connection. So in this space, in the Akiko space, we describe storytelling as the use of words, images, gestures, and everything in us to communicate, to explain something. That's storytelling. Reflection is the capacity to think deeply and then extract meaning. So we think deeply and we extract meaning. So in my view, reflection is the power behind storytelling. Reflection is the power behind storytelling because let's say, the way we say in this space that storytelling isn't just a marketing function. It's a finance function, it's a people function, it's a succession planning function. It means we have to have the capacity to sit down and honestly look through everything we have, figure out what's working, what's not working, what is working partway, what needs a tweak. The whole conversation of what you must do, what you must delegate, what you can dispose of, that whole conversation. And that also is a reflection. When that is done right, then we're able to look at our cash flows, and then those numbers tell us a story. Are we actually making money? Are we profitable? Are we doing kalongolongo, like we like saying? And for those who are not from Kenya, kalongolongo is a game we used to play as children that had no way forward, no way back. It was just one of these amorphous, random kind of games. So when we say you're doing kalongolongo, it means you're being unserious. And for many of us as small businesses, myself included, you have this big dream, but you haven't broken it down to actionable steps. So that's where reflection comes. And then when you see what you have been thinking seriously about and debating, you find that you settle on what is working, what's not working, and then you're able to do your plan. And so that's why I say reflection is the power behind storytelling. I can come and I can tell you, oh, we are very successful. But you look at our cash flows, we are cash poor. You look at our team, non-existent or unmotivated. You look at our actual sales, zero bob. So then you go back and you're like, how is this that you're successful unless we're doing wash? So that's why I say reflection is the power behind storytelling.
Thank you, Kyesubire. Reflection is the power behind storytelling. So how do we get to use it then?
So remember, it's the power behind storytelling. Reflection is a reality check. It's the reality check. Can you stop mirroring my gestures? Anyway, so how do we use it? the key thing, and I think in an earlier, in a different episode this morning, we're talking about how we only look back to see how far we've come. I think that was it's Bert Lippert who said that. You look back to see how far you've come. That's reflection. But many of us get stuck in looking back like Salt's wife, and then we turn into a pillar of salt. We get stuck. We cannot move. So it is the power behind storytelling, because when you look back, like I've said earlier, you see what worked, what didn't work, which person should be in your network, which one you should dump. So you see, you get a picture. And reflection cannot be done at the mirror. It has to be done at, slightly higher up. So bigger, I'm gonna say bigger picture. See yourself standing on the rooftop of a 10-story building, looking down at the street. Okay. I'm sorry. See yourself on the top of a 10-story building, looking down at the street. That's reflection. Because you can see I came up. So you're asking yourself, did I come up using the lift? Okay, so it was 2 minutes coming up by lift. But Joe walked up the steps and it took him 25 minutes. So then I'll come and ask Joe, did you come straight up or did you have to stop and catch your breath? And at what floor was that? So that allows us to check Joe's level of fitness. And then we have another team member who did a combination of maybe up to 5th floor by stairs and then the other way up by lift. Why did you do that? So then that's the second step of which is assessment. Because when you are assessing, what you're doing when you're assessing is you're looking at the whole process to gather the information. So now we know that there are 3 potential routes from ground floor to 10th to the top floor, 10th floor. 1, straight up by lift. 2, straight up by stairs. 3, a mixed approach where you come partway up by lift, the other part by stairs. So we have looked and we're gathering the information, and then we can say the person who went straight up by lift is 4 minutes. The one who did the mixed one is about 8 minutes. The one who walked from the bottom to the top is 15 minutes. And when they got to the top, they were breathless, couldn't walk, they stalled us. So then you're gathering information about the process, all right? Then you come and you sit down and you evaluate, which means you are making judgments based on the information from the assessment stage. So 1, you look back, you see, okay, that's what happened. 2, we're looking at the modalities, how it happened, what information can it give us. Then 3, we evaluate and make decisions based on that information we have. Why is evaluation important? You could assess and just have this large repository of information and you're doing nothing with it. So let's take a marketing example. We have an event that's coming up. We have 5 registrations. We have promised our partners that we will have 200 people in the room. So you do a marketing plan. Part of your marketing will be digital marketing. You do an ad strategy and you say, oh, we have reached 100,000 people in 5 different countries on the continent of Africa. And then when we called them into this space, we shared the link. So then the next process is to look at how many people actually clicked the link and registered, and is it viable now to run with the process? Now, what you probably told yourself is you're looking for a 2% conversion rate. So if you even have 300 people in the room, you've hit your number. So you come back and you look at how many registered and then make the choice of, do we continue or not? In that space, you actually have been able to tell the story of the impact of the ad you put out. And then when you have decided, so we've done 3 steps. We've looked back, we've assessed, we've evaluated. So we make, based on this information, we need to go ahead. So what does go ahead look like? Now you put your plan in place. Your plan, if we go back to the marketing example for the conference, is to ensure each of these people are contacted, they have the information. We know how many are coming virtually, how many are coming physically, how many need accommodation. So we gather all that information, and then step 5 is execute. all this is premised on reflection. How does this connect to storytelling? You have the whole journey map. So when somebody asked, what did it take to plan that event? You can actually say, oh, we first of all figured our objectives. We looked at what was available. We selected the right options, put a plan in place, and we executed the event. You can also come back and within that space, pick out the challenges of planning that caliber event. You can pick out the wins and talk about them. You can now, at the point of execution, go and talk to your customers and tell their stories. But you're going to the customers with questions, which will trigger reflection, which will then trigger the story they tell. So most of us say, oh, reflection is for the end of the year when we are looking at our goals. But reflection actually should be on a personal level daily. When you wake up in the morning, do you wake up and you jump out and you just proceed with your day? Or do you pause to think, what do I need to do today and how do I need to do it? Something I'm learning to do every morning is to wake up, think through my day, bless my day, call forth the resources of the day and move into the day. Now, resources of the day is not just financial. It is the right energy, the right frame of mind, the right people, the right connections and all those things, the right words. Oh, the right words to tell my clients. And then you are able to execute life. So these are things we can actually do on a daily basis. We can do it on a quarterly basis, midterm basis, annual basis, because unless we reflect and look back, we cannot go forward. A lot of people tell me, oh, but I don't like seeing where I failed. I tell people failure is the best classroom. So I wrote a note to Joe and he misunderstood my email. Joe is just like that. Stop and think. What was it about this email that triggered Joe? Is it the way it was phrased? Is it the time he saw it? Was he in a bad mood? And so reflection has to be a daily part of our lives. So I hope that gives us tips on how to do it.
Yes, Kyesubire, it gives us tips on how to do it. And it takes me back to what you told us. Reflection is the reality check. So every day we must give ourselves that reality check.
Yes.
But before we call forth the resources that we need for the day, reality check. What did I do? Where am I? And then mapping out our journey. Where are we going? Why is all this important, Kyesubire?
Simple answer. We want to be a better person every day. You know, I think it is continuous learning, continuous improvement. If we improve by Kaizen, the Kaizen principle, sorry, my mind was looking for that. The Kaizen principle is a philosophy or a method that focuses on gradually improving it. Okay, many times we'll talk about products, processes, systems, but I like to apply it to me as an individual. If I can get better and become a better version of myself every day, and I'm not looking to be doing a 90% flip, I'm looking to 0.5 to 1% improvement every day. If I improve 1% every day, in 100 days, what have I done? I have done a lot. I'm a diametrically different person. And then every day becomes the premise for the next day's growth. So the purpose of reflection, beyond just the storytelling, is to ensure that I'm daily growing to become that better version of me. That at a point I wrote and said I want to become. So I'll give an example. So I decided a few years ago that I want to grow and become a trainer, a master trainer, a moderator, a speaker. That I think was in 2019. And I didn't know where to start. Oh, goodness, I could not MC. I talk a lot, but I could not MC. So what happened in 2020, I was working with a design organization, and to part of our harnessing the COVID era, was to bring people together and have design conversations. And we began finding challenges of getting designers to moderate the conversations. I am a friend of design. I was not a designer then. So what happened, my colleague who was the Secretary General of the association, I am communications and logistics. So I am, in Kenya, we call them kadayamoko, the hand people, the people whose hands do all the work. One day he asked me, do we counsel? I said, no. Going forward, you and I will moderate. I said, after all, this is something I want to turn around. That year alone, we had a weekly event from, I think, May to the end of the year. So I was able to hone my moderation skills. And the fact that I read widely and randomly added flavor to the conversation. So every session I did, I was better than the last. I was not yet best. And then into 2021, I joined, it was 2021 when I started the Toastmasters Club. Or was it 22? Anyway, the opportunity came to be part of a founder member of a Toastmasters Club. And for the season I was there, I harnessed everything I could harness. It also helped me because now I had the confidence to train on people's behalf. And what has now happened? You and I are designing our own courses. We're designing, marketing, facilitating, which means every time we're looking back at what we had done, every day we're like, did we do better than yesterday? So reflection, the reason we do it is to become that better version, which is premised and pegged on a previous goal that we had set.
I like that. That was the simple answer. So now
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the complex answer, but the simple answer, the way you give it to us. Thank you very much. Just 1% improvement, and you will have moved forward. Just 1%. Toastmasters Club was 2021. It's been a journey, eh? Congrats, man. Congrats. Hey, it's not been easy, man. Congrats. 3 years down the line.
Imagine.
Good stuff. We can only be better versions of ourselves in order to give and enhance more value.
Yes.
And I like where you've left us at. And thank you for that personal analogy. Just 1%, 1% improvement translates into a large percentage of growth. What is your parting shot to us today? Your words of wisdom. I was about to say your last words of wisdom, then I remembered, no, you will still need to shoot another show in another week or so. So it's not your last words of wisdom. Part of your words of wisdom.
Many of us fear reflection. I remember there's a friend of mine who says she doesn't journal because she doesn't want to look back and see her failures. And the thing I would encourage more of us to do is understand that just because a task didn't work or a project failed, you are not a failure. The looking back, the reason why you would hate it and say it makes me see my failures is because many of us on the African continent were raised that if it doesn't work, it's your fault, you're bad, you failed. No. That thing you are working on is what failed, not you as an individual. You have only failed if you reflect and get stuck and become a pillar of salt like Lot's wife. If you're able to look back and then see the places that you have faltered or even fallen flat on your face, lost money, goofed, all those things, if you're able to see that and chart a plan to move forward, then you have not failed. The thing you are working on has failed. So let's not fear reflection. Let's not fear looking back and finding things we didn't like, because if you didn't like it and you are still around, you have the opportunity to change it. If you didn't like it and you have people around you, you have the opportunity to get support. If you didn't like it and you are standing alone, lost in the field, look for help. Let reflection be not just the power behind your storytelling, not just your reality check, but be the bottom. You know, when they say when you go to rock bottom, you cannot go any further. Let reflection stabilize you as a rock. This is how it is, but this is not how it must remain. So the superpower in reflection is the ability to drive us and shift us to a place of growth. I'll give another example. When I look at some of the, because I work with teens, some of the places I work with teens, my role as the leader is to grow the teens and to grow the leaders. So in one of the settings where I work, which is a church, there was a time I was the only one who would speak on Sunday. I no longer am the only one who will speak on Sunday. There was a time if I didn't show up for service, they would start late. It's no longer 100% true. They would not start until I showed up. So I began working with my colleagues and saying, service yo yangu, the service is not mine. The service is jointly ours. So when we end late and we delay, these are the repercussions for all of us, but I take the hit. And that was premised from the place of, I cannot be the only one in charge. So in the 4 years we've been in existence, our teams have grown, our leaders have grown, we have had leaders leave, and we no longer stumble as much when people leave the ecosystem, because sometimes people move or they get new assignments. So let reflection be your rock bottom of every day. You will not go lower than this. I remember many years ago, I was in an interesting situation. I wrote a journal entry in, let's say, 2005. I think it was May 7th, 2005. And then later on, I was writing a journal entry that felt very familiar. Like, you know, those deja vu moments. I'm like, I've done this before. So I pulled out all my journals, and 5 years to the day, my journal entry was identical. And it was a rant. It was not a good thing. So what that showed me is that in that particular area of my life, I had not grown in the last 5 years. It is easy to say, oh my God, I have failed, I don't grow, I can't let things go, which was my default. But this time I said, Kyesubire, this is foolishness. You cannot remain here. 5 years, yeah, grow up. So then now that reflection became my fuel to move and ask, why does this bother me so much? Why am I stuck there? How can I change the conversation? And so that triggered growth. So use it as your power for storytelling, because in that space, so I've said, why am I still here? Why am I stuck? That's the story I'm telling myself. It's also serving as a reality check. But then it becomes the fuel for my growing to the next level. So that would be my parting shot. Don't let reflection make you a pillar of salt and stick you. Let it be the rock bottom and the foundation from which you must grow and consistently move forward. After all, we said, look back, assess, evaluate, plan, execute.
Thank you. And there you have it. Look back, assess, evaluate, execute. Thank you very much, Kyesubire. And for that powerful reminder that just 1% improvement gets us moving forward. And the 1% improvement helps us strengthen our foundations. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 360-degree brand story. Where else would you get all this information? In a nice, cool, calm, and collected way. Here, brands come alive one brushstroke at a time. Bi-weekly conversation about the comprehensive nature of storytelling. We work together to build our journeys with the information that we have and tell it as it is for them to buy into us. Until we meet again, and we see you again, when you pay us a visit to our studios YouTube channel, our social media spaces. I wish you well. 360-degree brand story, proudly sponsored by Akiko Stories, part of the African MSME Collective. And we sign off by saying, you can do it. Remember, reflection is the reality check. Get that reality check and keep moving forward. Until next time, bye, kwaheri, adios. And please follow us on our social media channels and all our social media spaces. Comment, and if there's something else you'd like us to talk about, put it down on chat. Thank you.